Hello, this is Lisa Russick with the podcast We're All Psychic, and we have a really, really cool guest tonight, guys. His name is Valentino. Would you like to say hello?
Hey, everybody. My name is Valentino, and I'm the owner of Seers Sensitives, spiritual life coaching company.
So, Valentino, I have a question for you right off the bat. Do you think we're all psychic?
So I think everyone is psychic. Psychic isn't something that, people are born with and they're special and others aren't. It's an ability that anyone can develop. My thought on it all is if you are from a family of psychics, it's almost like a genetic disposition where you'll be more in tune with it, stronger, more developed in that area. However, that doesn't mean you have to be from a family of psychics to develop that intuition if you want that intuition also.
Kind of like an athlete, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You work your biceps, you work your brain.
Yeah.
Brain cells.
Yes. And all the other things that, whatever they may be, that energy work entails.
Absolutely.
Which is a million things. So how did you get to that conclusion? Have you always been around psychic yourself? Do you have a psychic family or?
So my great-great-grandparents on my mother's side came from Italy. And they were Italian root workers. They did white magic and more like Catholic magic, Catholicism magic. And they were all mediums. So this lineage came from my great-great-grandparents. And a lot of my family is also medium and psychic. And on my father's side, we have a strong intuition and we have prophetic dreams. And there are some white magic practitioners as well on that side of the family. So it's something I grew up into. It's never really been allowed to speak of, don't talk.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
But we all kind of did it. And then I brought it out in everyone, which is the fun part. I came along and made everyone, expand on it.
You can't hide it anymore. No hidey. We need you to show it. Yeah. That's really cool. How did you get them to start bonding about this and explain and being less afraid to talk about it?
So it's something that I've been doing since I was young. And of course, I got a lot of kickback. So there were a lot of fighting and, kind of shouting to get my voice heard. But over time, when more of the family started hearing the messages and listening and, really saying, wow, that's verifiable,
Yeah.
My father, he was very skeptical against this. I said, give me your coffee cup. So we were at dinner one night at this Italian restaurant that we used to go to in Brooklyn. And I said, if you're going to get espresso, dump the cup and spin it, and I'm going to read it for you. And those heavy froth from the coffee, I start reading, and he's like, wow, how do you know all this stuff, right? Because it's all about his friends, his business partners, and all these other people around him doing what they were doing, right? But there's no way I would know and be privy to that because I don't talk to them.
You don't know them, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah.
So you kind of had an interest in showing people like that this is happening, this is going on. Yeah, you have an interest in also doing that too. That's cool. So listeners and watchers, I forgot to say this is a video, or maybe I did. Well, it's a video on Spotify. I said it once and I said it twice. I'll say it again. It's a video on Spotify. You can. I was going to ask you. Well, first of all, let the listeners and watchers know Valentino has his own psychic. It's not just like a psychic platform. It's a lot more than that. And he was just telling me about it before we started the recording for the podcast. So why don't you let them know about your company? And I want to hear how you got it started and everything. What gave you the idea and the motivation and stuff?
Awesome. Great. So I was creating a platform originally to just be a psychic hotline. Okay. And it developed into this wheelhouse for wellness where I found so many great staff that we have astrologists, numerologists, Reiki healers, chakra workers, root workers, mediums, clairvoyants. I mean, just about anything you can think of. Herbalists. I'm also a novice herbalist. Whatever we can do online and remotely to help people become the best versions of themselves. And our mission really is, so we incorporate our abilities that most people find to be eccentric and don't really pay attention to, right, in the regular 9-to-5 office world. We pull that into this platform and we use that to help our clients make a success plan. So I originally was going to be this psychic hotline. My best friend of over 15 years, his niece, called me up for advice. And that's who we were introduced by, Faye Celeste. And she had told me, that's right, Faye Celeste. And she's an amazing reader too, by the way. So she called me and was all upset the one day. And I said, you know what? Screw these other platforms. I'm going to make my own platform. I'm going to get, because she was getting 15 cents a minute. And I'm like, you can't live on that. Or no, I'm sorry. It was $15 an hour, however you break that down per minute. And I said, we can't live like that, so I'll make my own platform. You can work for me. She jumped on, we came together, and we created this amazing platform as a resource to help people and help people kind of get out of their heads and become the best versions of themselves.
So, I think this is just fascinating, listeners and watchers, as I told him before the podcast, because you don't get to hear from people who run psychic work companies at all. Like they're kind of mysterious. You don't know much about them. So he's going to tell us some stuff about the secrets, but not really, the stuff we don't know as people on our end, like in my place as an advisor on a platform. And just random people. When I tell people I work for a psychic platform, because it used to be a hotline, and now it's more kind of translating over to platform, right? So when I would tell people I work for a psychic phone line, is what I would usually say. So because they didn't understand hotline for some reason, they'd be like, "Those things are real? I thought those were just kind of like sex lines, but you're making up stuff." Like, no, it's a real thing. I've been doing it for like 10 years. Like it's a real thing. And then they're like, I know you do real readings. You mean other people do them too? I was like, yes, they vet these people and these sites like you do, right?
Absolutely. So on the site, I mean, I'm a hard read. So a lot of people who interviewed with me, I had to kind of have a second sight to understand what they were doing energetically behind the reading.
Yeah.
Many people have difficulty penetrating my walls, and that's because I have tons of spirits around me all the time. My lineage is deep and long, and it's very, very vast. So, but I do remember I had these questions I would ask all the staff, right? And I would have them do a general reading for me for the psychics, and then I would give them a focal point. And the focal point was 3 different addresses. They had to pick one of the addresses, tell me what it was, and what was going to happen with it. Now, yeah, but here's the thing though, right? Via Santa Lucia numero 2. Nobody had a clue that was an address. They hear Santa Lucia, it was in Italian. Oh, yeah. St. Lucy, I see a church. I see this, I see it. Well, okay, there's a church up the block, but that's about it, right? It's number 2, St. Lucy Street. Tell me about it, right? And I was trying to purchase a home in Italy. Nobody but 2, maybe 3 got it correct. I remember the one most fascinating employee that I brought on staff. She literally described the entire building down to the color and the backyard, but she had no clue what was going to happen with it. But I really, she was amazing. I was so.
That's too cool. Sometimes they won't let us know what's going to happen with it because that's something you got to find out yourself. That's how it works for me for spirit with working with guides and stuff. Anyway, with the cards, it's just like think it out, figure it out. Hey guides, what are they saying? I work with guides a lot, so. So when did you start up Seers Sensitives? When was what day did you? What was your launch date? I'm just curious. You remember?
May of 2023. So
wow, so you guys are pretty new.
Yeah, so we opened up the LLC May of 2023, and it's been a lot of crazy ups and downs.
Yes,
and you don't realize all the legal work that goes into these things, and the accounting work and the tax work. It's a nightmare at times, but you fight through it and you get going, right?
Yeah.
Other platforms I've noticed have not set up all those legal standpoints. So I've helped a couple of people along the way, with their journeys as well, because I want to see everyone succeed, right?
Yeah.
I can't take every single, I can't take every single client, right? Yeah. So let's see how I can help other platforms if they come and reach out to me and say, hey, how is your platform going? How's your company? I've had these issues. Do you have any advice on them? And they reach out often, and I always give them my best experience. I'm not an expert, but I give you the best experience I can based on what I know.
Yeah, yeah, that's the way to do it. Frog in my throat. It's the old crony in me came out. So with Seers Sensitives, I love that name, by the way. So it's been about a little over a year that you have officially launched. And how many advisors do you have, or readers do you have signed up under you?
Right now, I have 10 advisors.
That's great. Okay.
So, and I'm keeping it small. I had a lot more, but we didn't have the work for them right yet in such a new startup. They're all on call. So if any of them wanted to come back on board and, sign back up with the company, when we have the need, we definitely will reach out. I have a list of about 60 advisors. But, unfortunately, without the work, I can't keep them on because it's all commission based and,
It is. It's hard to advertise and stand out when you're especially a new company with psychics and advisors and magic and juju. But this is the right time to start all that stuff, but especially that you're adding the magic and the juju. A lot of people look for that, but they don't know what is a good, reputable person or place to go to for, like cord cutting and stuff like that, et cetera, et cetera. I've heard a lot of people looking for that. And those kinds of energetic works. And I believe like a lot of people on other platforms, they may use Reiki to do those things. But most places I've ever applied for wouldn't let you do any kind of spellcraft whatsoever. And I imagine it's just like probably a protective thing so that people wouldn't get taken advantage of. Because that is like the biggest scam in the book, right? For $2,000, I'll remove the curse you don't have,
Yeah, no. So, I mean, in order to help kind of combat that, because I was concerned about that also, we sell packages, right? Because everything isn't going to be in a package. We have memberships, and each membership has a number of sessions.
Cool.
The reason we're doing this is because if you have, so right now we have a 10-pack, and am I allowed to talk pricing a little bit?
Yeah, go for it. I'm curious. Great. I love business.
So my 10-pack is $1,500. So it's about $150 a session. It's a great value. First time.
Is it an hour a session?
1 hour. Yeah. 45 minutes to an hour.
That's good.
And, it's about 20% off for first time members who sign up with us. Now, what I do with that package is you could just be a straight up life coaching client. And that's it. We'll spend 10 hours on life coaching. But if you want to say, hey, I want one session to be with, Faye Celeste, who's an amazing tarot reader, or I want another session to be with Victoria Monday, who's a great medium, or even Lori Hoover, who's an excellent life coach, medium, and tarot reader, right? So we could pass that around to whomever, and they can interchange those sessions. It doesn't go over the price that you've paid. So I'm not going to say, okay, well, this work is going to be a $5,000 curse removal. No.
No. It's about healing people and getting us happy, right?
Absolutely.
With ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And get to the root of your issue and make a success plan to work away from that and relearn behaviors. Because we can't be therapists legally, right?
No.
But a therapist, you go to a therapist, you get treated, you get diagnosed, you deal with it there, but you're not getting so much as advice with therapy or success plans with therapy. It's more kind of like, let's talk through it. Whereas us, we'll talk through it with you, and then we'll make a plan for you, and then we'll follow you along on that plan, and we'll help you modify that plan to make it what works for you to get where you need to be.
And usually if you're working with a psychic for something like that, with that kind of idea, I love the package idea. That's great. Your regular readers or advisors will just like become one of your best friends. I mean, I go to my friends all the time for readings. I'm not going to, a priest for advice. I'm a psychic reader, I'm going to a psychic for advice or to look at something that I need to heal energetically, but something we can do as readers, and you guys do it. I've had readings from Faye, and she is great. Is that there's with spiritual people, when you're working with the energy to heal in particular, I think people feel differently than they do with a therapist who isn't working with energy while they're helping their client. Just talking isn't always enough. You can shift energy when you're talking to your client and talk to them about the really deep stuff. And I feel like we are able, and they do this too because they're psychic. If we have a good connection with your client, then it's just like they feel it, they feel it, the energy in their heart clearing out of their head, and they feel great after the phone calls usually, or the chats or whatever. And that's because they're psychic. How could that even happen? Right? But I know your whole platform has a lot of healers like that. They can clear out the energy. So
absolutely. Yeah. And, like on a side note with therapy, right? Every single therapist I've ever spoken to when I've had a tough time in life, if they don't believe in psychic work and magic and white magic and energy healing, I can't talk to them. Right. Because I'm not going to have negativity imposed on me.
No.
Someone else's inability to see what works for me. So that's why, I've stepped away from a few at the time. But mainly what is therapy? It's, hey, good job. Let's get forward. Same thing with what we do, but we want to make success plans for everyone.
Yes, I love success plan. Yeah. Get steps to take. Give people stuff they can do, because everybody can take actions. I mean, sometimes it's better not to, but that's also an action, kind of. And choosing not to act. I love that giving. That's what I usually do too. I usually love to give people like stuff to do. And I always I think our idle hands are like, they're going to get me. I'm going to get in my head if I'm not doing something. I'll not all the time, but most of the time.
So that old saying from when we were kids, idle hands is.
That's what I was talking about. The devil's work, or they do something like that. Idle hands are the bring about that. It's basically what it feels like. It's get in my head and get all. So I got to do something. That's how my clients, my guides will come through. Is like, that client's like you and overthinks. So tell her to maybe do switch it off and do something with your hands. Because for me, that just really works.
Yeah. Do you hear your clients? I'm sorry. Do you hear your guides like you hear us, like me speaking to you? Do you see them physically, or you just have them in your mind's eye?
It's in my mind's eye and ears. Mind's ear. Mine's ear. I mean, I really just I have more like the claircognizance, where it just information drops in. I do see them clairvoyantly, with the mind's eye. And I see them moving. Now, a few times I have seen with my eyeballs, and they move weird. I don't know if you see it that way. How do you experience it?
So I actually always I'll hear them physically, as if I'm speaking and you're speaking. I hear them in my mind. I see them physically. I see them in my mind. I sense energy, and energy just kind of drops and downloads on in. Now, the most common and easiest method of communication is through thought and information download.
Yeah.
However, like the other day, I'm sitting in my living room and I saw a woman with long black hair run into my library. And then later on that day, she was on the second floor and she ran into the guest room. So, I don't know what she was doing here. She didn't stay very long. But, I get a lot of little visitors here and there, and it's something you kind of have to get used to. And back in Brooklyn, I actually I had a sleep mask because I couldn't sleep. And one of them actually tried to pull the mask off. So I had a physical kind of go forward, and I woke up and I said, what is this?
Are you one of those people who's asked, but kind of to cross some over to wherever? I've heard of some mediums who are asked to do that. I've never had that experience, but I know some people and friends who don't work in the field, and it's just part of their life.
Yeah. So I do help a lot of spirits cross over. I had one client. She was, I don't have to say where she was from, but she was nearby my location in New Jersey, and she had 30 plus spirits in that house. I was up and down all the floors. It was exhausting. It was 8 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Over. Yeah. I mean, but I don't work with demons. A lot of people ask me about demon removal or demon.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Demon
I always thought that was kind of that person's responsibility somehow to take care of it, and they may get help from people, but eventually they have to break that, whatever, if is a bad entity attached in some way. It feels like they have to fix it themselves usually, right? It doesn't just feel right in the energy, get help, get advice. But
if they have a demon association where the demon is attached to a person, then they really do need to be an active part in that.
Yes.
They need a full-blown exorcism. I mean, that's it. I don't do that.
I don't know how either. Yeah.
I know how to. I've seen it done. I know how to do it. I have the ritual and everything. I have copies of it, but I don't process that. And the demons, you can have demons attached to a property. They don't have to be attached to a person. But I don't move them on or out because, I don't need that stress.
That's too much. It sounds like if you have a wall of spirits around you like this, where they're constant, and they're breaking through to where you're seeing them running around your house and stuff. I pretty much block everybody out. I project my own energy so they can't fit. You can probably see it. Or I just kind of space out, and they can't get in there.
Yeah.
But I usually ask them, I invite them, and that guy to help with that. But it wasn't always like that, and I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I was having medium. I kind of thought that was going on, but I thought in my particular case, I thought I was a nut. And I was trying to deal with that, my nut.
I mean, when I was a kid, I thought I was going crazy because I would hear voices every now and then. I bet.
Yes. I didn't have that. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know what was going on. And then in turn, it wouldn't be anything like consistent, like a mental disorder. You know, a mental disorder would be this consistent, like
repetitive OCD, like kill yourself, or do that, do that, or yeah.
But it was just like my name would be called every now and then, and I had to find
that. I did have that.
So I remember one time when I was probably 13, 14. Yeah. I went out into the woods and I was, you know, looking for sticks, different broken twigs and such to create like a magic wand to kind of harness energy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was looking at these mushrooms on a tree stump. I heard a growl, this loud growl like a wolf. And I turn, right? And I look, I see nothing in the path. And I look up and this is specter, this woman floating up in the air. And she was like she almost looked like something out of biblical times or something like that.
Yeah.
The Puritan with the covering on her head and the modest dress.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh gosh, I dropped everything in my hands, turned around, looked at the tree stump. It almost looked like the tree stump made a grin at me. Then I turned back and there was no one there and I just ran out of the woods. I was so petrified.
I know, that would be scary. Oh my gosh, because it's above you and you heard a growl like a wolf and it was a specter of a woman.
Yeah, yeah.
Was she creepy or was she pretty? Or because sometimes the specters are just like they can change from beauty to terrifying.
Beautiful woman.
Yeah,
beautiful woman. Yeah. She was floating above me. She was stunningly beautiful. She looked very modest. Back in like, I don't even know, maybe the 1600s, looking like someone very old. And and that was it. And then she disappeared and I ran off.
And you remember that from so long ago. Yes. Did you tell anyone at the time that happened?
No, I didn't tell anyone.
Who was the first person you told? Do you remember?
Gosh, I've been talking
some hard things for us to do. Like the first person you told stuff like that to. I think for me, it was probably my first husband and I think my best friend at the time named Lisa. I told her about it. My Aunt Lillian. That was it. Nobody else. And then as I got more comfortable with it, I had curiosity about the cards and I had friends who read cards and I did tell them I wanted to learn the cards and they gave me a Osho Zen deck and I could actually read it. I had decks, but I could never read them until I tried the Osho Zen and it just kind of, I didn't read the book. It just worked for me. The words. The words help. The words help.
It always helps, the words, for guiding whenever I do. I don't use cards that often, but when I do, I like decks that have the meanings written into them sometimes because it helps me focus the message a little bit more. But I think the very first person I really started discussing this with would have to have been my babysitter. Now, her and her sister came from Germany and they actually escaped the Berlin Wall before it was built.
Oh, wow.
Like they're literally bricklaying and they snuck out with the clothes in their back in the middle of the night.
Wow.
Yeah. So her sister was very big into witchcraft and psychic readings. And she would sit with me a lot and she would show me pendulums and tarot cards and tell me these stories of magic and what they would do in Germany. Because I don't know if you ever studied anything about German culture, but there was a deep-rooted magic tradition as well as a lot of holistic, open-mindedness to holistic and natural healing, which I think is amazing. Because you think Germany cold, you know what I mean? And it's not so open to all this stuff. You wouldn't think that in Germany, but it's got such a beautiful culture that we don't even know about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. And the landscape in Germany, when I've seen pictures, anyway, I've never been out of the States, but it looks beautiful. The landscapes of little houses scattered on the rolling hills. It's just like, oh God. Really beautiful. I know like East Germany and West Germany are like different kinds of cultures still, I think, but
oh wow.
Yeah. I haven't really learned much about. My grandfather's family came from Germany, I think. Oh, but cool. He didn't. I think that like that whole generation, that whole side of the family just kind of vanished, as time went by.
Yeah, that's what happens, with a lot of the immigration, the culture vanishes, the lineage vanishes, and you're just kind of left with, okay, well, we've been here since 1890, 19 something, and that's it. We'll start from there.
Yeah. Pretty much. That's pretty much true. And on my dad's side of the family, all their records supposedly were burned in a church. So we don't know anything that we could possibly even find, if we wanted to.
Oh, yeah. And that's where spirit contact comes in.
That's truth. That's a good point. You can get really good detailed answers. And What is your advice to people just starting out with mediumship or maybe a little more advanced into it and they want to get those clearer answers? Because I'm finding that a lot of times it's just kind of like letting it through is helping pretty well too.
Confidence. And I'm going to say you have to develop your confidence and build your confidence. And that's going to be through evidential-based readings, right? Every reader should be evidential. So when you get time and you say, okay, let me talk to your friends. Okay, when you're done reading your friends or friends you don't know, get their friends, their acquaintances.
Yes.
Get them to say, okay, let's do a free reading. Tell me how I do. Give me a rating. Give me, what related, what didn't relate to you. One thing I will say, which is really fun, I was on a Facebook group. It was a psychic medium group. A lot of those groups come with tons of spam, but if you can get through the spam, I met up this one woman. I think she's from Central Jersey. Wonderful lady. She messaged me. I said, look, I'll give you a free reading, but you have to just refer me, right? She actually called me yesterday to tell me she wants to book something for a party of 6 in February. But anyway, I did a reading all on Messenger. I didn't even call her and talk to her. I didn't see her face.
I've done that too. Yeah.
And about her mother and, her sister-in-law and the fight that went on and the house burnt down and she blamed it was a whole big craziness.
If the energy is there and it wants to come out and you're listening, you'll find out, right? Yeah.
And there's plenty of platforms that these the newbies and the people who are developing and working their way up to becoming a little more experienced into advanced. You can jump on these platforms on Facebook, Instagram. I don't use TikTok, but I know a lot of people are on TikTok. They do these readings on TikTok.
Yeah.
I just hired a brand ambassador yesterday, and she's going to be managing my TikTok. So, and she's such a sweetheart. So I'm excited. Yeah, and I'm excited because I hear TikTok is where you boom. So
that's what I hear too. But they said that they wouldn't verify my age. I had to do weird stuff. I'm 49, and they didn't believe that I was my age, and they had me take my selfie with my ID, and I had to send my ID both sides. A picture of me holding my ID with a piece of paper with a code written on it that they gave me. A selfie doing this. So I did, and they still say I'm lying.
Maybe they think you're younger than
I can't
49.
use this. I can't use it. It's like they just blocked my account. And
maybe
then they deleted it.
Than 49, Lisa.
Well, it's makeup, but I do have a collagen disorder. It's called HEDS, hypermobile electrical syndrome. So it does keep me like younger looking for a while. But it's also very painful. So, yeah.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I definitely can say, through my experience with herbs, castor oil does amazing things for pain. So if you have any types of inflammation or pain.
I have some castor oil.
So take the castor oil and bathe couple paper towels, fold it up so it's saturated. Place it over that area and then cover yourself in saran wrap, right? Okay. Once it's been covered, apply heat. And the castor will penetrate so much deeper with the heat into the body to help break up scar tissue, inflammation, bone spurs, cysts. Does a ton of great stuff.
Wow. Bone spurs. It'll decalcify. That's my main problem is bone spurs. How long would it take of doing that, like once a day, say, maybe? Because I have a bone spur. I have one growing into my spinal cord right here on the inside.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
I'm careful.
Yeah. I would definitely recommend like maybe a month or two. Do it like 2 or 3 times a week. If you can do it every day, go for it. More power to you. It stimulates blood flow and circulation as well. So one thing I'll say while you're doing that is increase your turmeric and your ginger intake because fresh ginger and turmeric ground up, thrown into some boiling water, make it into a concoction like a tea, and drink that 2 to 3 times a day. Do it for like 3-4 weeks. So start your castor oil, give it a week or 2, and then at the second week, start incorporating ginger and turmeric if you're not already using it. That way it gives it time for those things to break down, and then the blood can come in and circulate and clean it out and cleanse.
Yeah, I can't take turmeric, me personally. I can't take any kind of anti-inflammatory property that I have found because I have gastritis. I bleed from all the way through my digestive tract when I take them.
Wow.
So even like traditional Chinese medicine herbs that I've tried, and those are some of those they work great, but the consequences are not worth it. But I love ginger, though. I can take ginger. So could that work with just the ginger?
Yeah, you don't need to have both. I mean, ginger is highly circulatory as well. But put the castor oil over your abdomen as well in the same fashion with the plastic. Okay. It'll penetrate into the intestines through the stomach.
I need help there, yeah.
And that will help you with digestion. It will help to decrease the inflammation that's in there, because gastritis is, irritation from gas, and it causes inflammation, more or less.
Yes.
So that's two great things I can tell you.
Thank you, man. That is amazing. I'm going to do it after this podcast while this is doing its thing afterwards. Nice. I'm going to do it. I will have to lie back every morning just about. I have it like through here in my lower back. I have to just kind of chill out for a while every morning. So I'll do, what else could I have to do? That'll help, and especially if I can actually like break up some of the bone spurs in my body. That'd be freaking amazing. Well, it's been interesting. I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I had x-rays and they showed the bone spurs. But then maybe a few months later, I had an MRI and nothing was wrong. But I was trying to do some decalcification with like dandelion root, dandelion leaf and root. I think I did some other herbs for what I read was for decalcification. And so I don't know if they actually worked or what, but this one's still there. I can feel it. But the ones in my hips, they show they're not there anymore. And I was told I had arthritis at 36.
Oh, gosh.
So, and they say I don't have it anymore.
Well, you can remove arthritis in the body. Ginger does help with arthritis.
That must be what it was, because I do drink a lot of ginger tea.
I love ginger tea. It's amazing. But get the fresh root and boil the root. Okay, good.
That's absolutely what I do. Yes. It's the best.
Excellent. Yes. Yeah. They say the body can purge the calcium, the bone spurs also on its own sometimes. So that happens too. Yeah. But yeah, let's after the show, give me a buzz. Let's schedule some time and I'll go over everything with you, and I can see if I can help you make a plan for your health through a natural means to help improve that works with the medicines you're on.
I would love that. That would be very helpful. And I need any help I can get. I promise you that. But I really appreciate that. Listeners, isn't he just the nicest? I mean, I really, really do appreciate that, because I've read so much about castor oil, but I never really knew what to do with it. I knew it was good for hair and nails and stuff, but I didn't really. Yeah, it was too sticky for me in my hair, kind of, So, but I'm going to try that for sure, for real.
Excellent.
But I guess at this point, I'll go ahead and thank our sponsor, Everclear. Everclear is an advice app where you can get advice from psychics and empaths, so you get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And it's a platform like what Valentino is talking about. And Everclear is all mysterious. We don't know anything, but he's telling us some stuff that I think a lot of people will listen to this podcast and be surprised, because you're just a normal person, right? Who believes all psychic, and you're very intuitive. You're a very strong medium. You're a very gentle soul to me. Like, from my perspective, I just feel a lot of gentle energy and a lot of healing and happiness. So I think it's going to go great for you. I really wish you the best of luck, and I hope we can stay in touch. You can come back and talk about how it grows.
Absolutely. I would love that. That'd be
now
great.
That you have a new branding person. And because it's always in the beginning, you got to figure that stuff out. It's hard,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I'd love to have you back and fill us in on like the whole process as it goes. Maybe in about 6 months or something, come back and let us know.
Absolutely. I would be pleased to come back on. It'll be an amazing time. It was a great show, and you've got great energy. So
thank you.
I would love to be back on.
Thank you so much. And I guess lastly, do you have any advice for somebody thinking about starting a psychic business like that? Now, what would be your best advice for them? They're really impulsive, maybe, and they're just going to do it. So, what would you advise?
What I would say is get yourself an LLC right away, make a website right away. And then from there, work on your social media, SEO, search engine optimization. And then with a little bit of time, after about 6 months, jump into advertising and do some advertising for yourself any way you think fit. But word of mouth has been one of the best ways that I've found clients.
Yes, me too.
And podcasts.
Yes. I've made some clients through this podcast that I just can't live without. They can't go. And again, thank you, Valentino. I just loved having you. And I really enjoyed this interview. It's just wonderful. And lastly, listeners and watchers, Misty, send Misty and her family some love and prayers. She did have a family member pass away. And so we all want to love Misty from far away, then you know she loves you, and you know I love you. I think Valentino loves you too, listeners and watchers. And everybody have a great time wherever you may be, and peace out. Goodbye.